Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello,
Hi,
hello.
hello everyone.
Hi, Jordan. Just give it another minute. People are still logging on. All right, let's go ahead and get going here. Share my screen. Cool. So first, I wanted to start off the meeting by saying congratulations to our 7 winners for the TSC election. The term starts today and will end in 1 year. However, if any of them were to step down, we will hold a special election to fill their spot. So because now we have the new TSC set in place, that means it's time to elect our new TSC chair. So starting today, we'll have the nomination period, which will go until January 29th to nominate yourself, or so as TSC members, you can either nominate yourself or someone else on the TSC to be the TSC chair. They have to accept that nomination, and then if we have more than one nominees, then we'll go to a vote. And then if we only have one, then that person will then by default be the TSC chair after the nomination period ends. So yes, if you'd like to nominate anyone, please send me a Slack or email me at kperez@linuxfoundation.org. Anyone have any questions on that?
Can you elaborate on the remaining responsibilities of the TSC chair? Maybe just to explain the implications or the.
Sure, yeah. So the TSC chair is essentially the leader of the TSC. They will help push the roadmap and creating the roadmap, and then also pushing any votes or financial choices that the TSC is interested in. It's not a huge responsibility, but we do rely heavily on our TSC chair to help keep the project moving forward. So please only nominate yourself if you are serious about helping lead this project in the right direction. Any other questions? Okay, moving on, we do have a proposal from Lucas and Osboko about the security items that they have been working on, and asking about extending their contract if we would like to keep the security services. I'll let you take it away, Lucas. Or Van.
Hi, good morning. I think with the TSC should kind of talk about the process of approving vendors and, future spends. And so this conversation exists in that context. I've written a document talking about where we should go with security. And that's really about, things we want to accomplish, goals and processes. Van is here to talk about our company, OSPOCO, which I won't talk about. And then there's the larger question of particular contracts. So before moving into the contract for security, I'd like to ask for thoughts on, what's the best way to approach this conversation?
I'm
we
still
need to. Yeah, sorry, Max, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I'm still very unsure about how to approach that, since I think that as the TC, we have not yet an understanding about what budget and we have, what possibilities we have, and we have not yet understood what we want to allocate stuff on. But I think it's I don't know how. At least deciding is still a factor that I don't understand how to approach. But regarding how to approach your proposal, I'm not sure. Jordan, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say something very similar to what you are saying. So nobody knows actually how much money we have, what we can spend, what we cannot spend, because there is a limitation of what we can spend from the money which we have, as far as I understood. We cannot spend to whatever we would like to spend. But the best way to start discussing about this is to start discussing. So I mean, especially from my view, even last year I have said that for me the security is the most important thing if we want this project to be viable for professional use in the telecom. Maybe not that much into the private private network deployments, but in a telecom setup, even in a small telecoms like the WISPs, security would be among the top priorities.
I have a recommendation. Sorry, go ahead.
One of the things that we did to hopefully make this a little bit easier is because with Lucas being elected to the TSC, we didn't want to, we understand that it would be, he would of course abstain on any votes or directly about OSPOCO or things like that. But instead, what we did is, y'all know that Lucas has been focusing on how to improve Magma, in particular with the focus on security. And so what we've as he alluded to, we've bifurcated this into two sections. The first is a general discussion about about some security goals. And these are completely independent of any contract whatsoever. And the question is, as the TSC, would these goals be ones that you all would buy into? Are these things that you all think that the Magma project should be focusing on? I am here to talk about, given that, or given whatever the TSC would like to do with regard to security, would it then be a good use of Magma's resources to continue to engage Lucas have time to focus on these? Obviously, we think that it would be, but we think that the idea of a security plan and security goals over 2023 is a completely separate question from hiring or continuing OSPOCO.
I'm going to drop this link in the chat just because it's part of the discussion, sort of in the spirit of having a document to, focus discussion. And since I'm doing that, let me actually open this up and talk through it.
I also think, Lucas, this is Kader, right? Just as an input to TSC. I mean, for 2023, what are the top 3 or 4 make this Magma community success, right? So TSC needs to really derive that, right? And what is dependent on what, and then basically based on that, the rest of the discussions that you were all having about investment plans and how all those things will follow that. But what I'm missing here is what is the top 3 or 4 things that we have to do to make this whole thing different and make it success. Makes sense. So security is one of them, and what else?
Yeah, right, Kader. Security definitely is a shortfall on the architecture side and also on the user plane. There are some holes. However, equivalent priority also is to be given to the minimum viable features that are missing today on the prominent use cases that Magma is addressing today, both private 5G and fixed wireless access.
I think we can distinguish between security investment that has a zero-sum relationship to features and security investment that is part of feature development, right? So something we can do differently that's kind of free is threat modeling whenever we're building new code. So actually designing security in the first place. The places that are more zero-sum have to do with triage of old items like old libraries.
If I may. Hi, I'll assume that that's okay. Lucas, this is Shom. I didn't mean to cut you off. Will you finish?
Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah, please.
So there are 3 pieces here. One is, what is the process of how much there is, what's the guidance, and what is the process of recommending to LF? And that has been outlined by the board. So since I'm doing a little bit of a coordination from the coming from the community meeting, why don't I talk to Kendall and we'll find a working area for the community transition, and we'll put up a couple of things there. One is, what is the feedback coming in from the community on this thing and the data that's coming so far? Then have TSC look at it on a meeting by meeting, and then talk about having a discussion in the TSC meeting this year. And then in that process, put the different areas for security and whatever else may come up. So if it's okay with you all, I will work this week to put that work area together and have it before the next meeting, before the weekend, so we can all look at it from the TSC side and then discuss it on the next meeting. Clarity and openness from the community and the good time to discuss. How's that?
Sounds good. So, pleased to meet.
So Kendall, if I may reach out to you on Slack, and I'll figure out what's the best way to put the working folder and the things. Is it Wiki or is it a Google Drive? And we'll get this going, and I'll reach out to Lucas and get his proposal there, and anybody else that have it, so that we can have a discussion of the notes.
That is awesome.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Let me call out one facet of this document that has a lot of content behind it, and that is the proposal to use the open change security spec. This is really a framework for structuring our security investment going forward. And it is about kind of being thorough and responsible. So for example, having metrics and making sure that you're applying them, being consistent and explicit about how we're identifying risks, and making sure that we're applying well-known best practices like security testing, which we aren't doing. So that would kind of patch holes in our process. So I wonder, where should we go next in this conversation?
On the security conversation, let's put it in the area where people can review it and then bring it up for discussion whenever we are in the next TSC meeting. I'll work with, once the TSC chair is decided upon, I'll work with Kendall to put it on the agenda on different items.
By the way, even without TSC chair, I mean, maybe we can just suggest something right now for the new TSC, how the new TSC or what new TSC should do. And in my opinion, we need at least 2 major work groups out of this TSC. One would be the security and the other one would be the features. So, I mean, if I can submit a proposal to create work groups out of the TSC for the security and for the features, and these work groups should bring a recommendation to the TSC for voting.
That's a great idea, Jordan.
I support it wholeheartedly. Can we decide that do we have enough forum to decide it today?
Let me see. Yeah, we do. We have quorum.
So if somebody would move it to do the 2 work groups, security and features work group, and got a second, then that would be great.
Do we want to have any kind of proposal that kind of states what these groups are and their responsibilities first?
Yeah, I think we should also have one cloud or DevOps group, which will take care of CI/CD deployments, these kind of area. This is also important. This is separate from features.
Perhaps you can take a vote on the idea of the working groups, a list of the working groups, and then we can stack rank based on resources and people anyway.
Yes, and we will put the scope of these groups. I mean, for now we have 3 groups, and then we will put the scope for groups, and then we can vote for each group separately once we have the scope.
Yeah,
I think that sounds good.
I'd be interested.
It can be inside the features group, right? You don't need a separate testing group, I believe. Jordan, what's your opinion?
I mean, let's put testing group, but I see testing as part of the features as well.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I will vote to keep testing in the features, but let's put it, maybe other people have different opinions and views.
I'm talking about not only the unit testing, hardware in the loop testing.
Yeah, correct. The overall, the whole testing.
Yeah, acceptance.
The whole chain of testing. Yes, I'm same here. I mean, the whole chain of testing still for me sits in the features.
Sure.
So just to clarify, we talked about 3 groups. We're gonna work together through Slack to see who was interested in participating in those. And then once we have a draft scope, we'll come back to TSC perhaps next week, ideally next week, to get that going. Is that correct?
Yep. That
Thank
sounds
you.
good.
What about operations? Where do we stand in this conversation today about figuring out the budget together, identifying, proposals for spending, and approving those spending proposals?
Yeah, so I'm here to help with all the operation type items, and I will let the TSC know privately how much money there is to spend. I don't think we want to make that public to the whole project, but I'm here to help with getting any of the services, contractors, or whatever it is that y'all vote on, where you want to spend your money. I hope that clarifies what you're asking.
Yeah.
Would it be helpful at some point if everybody who's not part of the newly elected TSC drop, so that you could discuss those things without everyone else being around?
So meeting is recorded, it goes to YouTube.
Yeah, we actually have a private channel to talk about any of these kind of sensitive topics. And we could do a private meeting with a non-recording if that is what the TSC would prefer, to discuss some of the budget topics. Any thoughts?
Sounds good.
I lost track if that now was a proposal to start the work groups, or if these work groups will just start and the outcome will be a proposal, or I don't, I lost track of that conversation. I tried to write meeting notes, but wasn't able to follow.
I thought the idea was that on those 3 areas that was talked about, feature, security, and CI/CD, that people will go walk through Slack and figure out who wants to join and participate in those. Then together come back with a proposal in front of the TSC to approve the scope.
Okay, so nothing to vote on now, and they will just come up with something. That's good. Thanks.
Correct. Yeah.
Would these replace the old kind of meeting cadence with engineering and DevOps and testing?
Well, I think this is something orthogonal right now.
Yeah.
But the outcome could change the meetings.
Correct. And these are more governance type of meetings rather than, hands-on meetings.
Right.
So it's more to discuss where we are going and what are the next steps, and to bring proposals to the TSC. At least this is what I had in mind when I was suggesting.
I also want to remind that as part of the transition, we have an onus of doing the community town halls, capturing those, and coming back and proposing those. So I was asked in the last community meeting to start coordinating those. I'll be happy to help if anybody need anything, just reach out to me. But as part of the working groups, we're going to make sure that the feedback that we get from the community and the town halls get taken into account and presented to TSC for the decision making.
Sounds good. That is the end of the agenda. Is there anything else that people would like to bring up and discuss during today's meeting?
I think we are still waiting for some updates regarding the Artifactory issues.
Okay.
I'm not sure if anyone here is in the round that can report on that. I think Fabio's planned to join this event or last week, but
he has not joined, has he? Okay, let me reach out to Fabio. And okay, where can he find is it all in that Slack channel, the questions to IT Slack channel?
Yeah, I think that that contains the traffic. He should have the context.
Okay, I'll reach out to him and see what I can get back. Sorry about that. Anything else?
Yeah, I just want to check on one item. I think last year we were doing the C++ migration. So I think in I think in early December, or like, I'm not sure if it was mid-December, it was around 65% done, and I think something was pending, and then we just asked if there are some known issues that can be published so that we know the status of it. So does anyone has any idea on where do we stand with that C++ migration? Why I'm saying that, because that will go as a feedback for our 1.9 release. So yeah, I think does anyone has any idea on that C++ migration? Is it done, not done? If not done, how much is still pending?
I
And
think
if there are
there's a Confluence page in the wiki under community parties, radiuses. There is an overview of what is done and what's the current state, and there you should find the relevant data.
Sure, maybe I'll just check it out.
Yogesh, recently I have seen a couple of pull requests which were converting the C files to the C++. So
Yes.
there is a progress there.
Yes, meaning what we wanted to know was, is it done, or like how, meaning if it is not done, how much more time it will take? So that was the only question.
But I was maybe Yogesh, a quick question here is that if I remember barely, when we were discussing, we said that, I think it was Jordan who brought it up, said that migrating the code base from C to C++ will reduce the stability of the Magma state machines, and we should not go on that direction, right? Rather stabilize the existing code base that is there in C, which is in the customer side. I just remember that. I just want to bring it up here in this call. Do we really need to go to C++? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the way.
Sorry,
Yogesh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah. So Kader, I think we discussed it, but I think because it was already 60% done, so the question was, should we remove that code, or should we finish it? I think there was no final conclusion on that. Of course, we discussed in 2-3 calls, but I think the work went ahead, and we can see that. Even now we can see the pull request. So I don't know whether it is the PRs on top of the existing code or new code. So yeah. So that way it was not concluded, Kader.
Mark
And Kader, just to my concern was that the moment we start re-engineering the 4G code, we are going to introduce lots of instability, and this is why I went through this pull request. I was looking at them to see how much the code is changed. There is almost no change in the code over there, apart from the code is done in a way that it can be compiled with C++. It's still C code, but the headers are changed in order to be able to be compiled as a C++.
Oh,
which doesn't help much on a functionality, but it's not hurting us on the stability.
Yeah, I think there were some maps that was introduced. That's what I remember. So there was the whole idea was to, there were some hash tables in C code. We want to get away with that and introduce the C++ map so that hash tables was in C. So I think one major change was that C++ proposal converted those hash tables into maps, because that libraries are deleted now. Those were pure C libraries. So that was one thing, and some protobuf related changes were there. Of course, the state machines are not changed. I agree with that, right? It's just some map related and some protobuf related changes were there.
Yeah, but one thing as an outsider customer, as I can tell you, is that I just came out of a call this morning from one of the potential customer who was using Magma, right? 1,000+ subscribers in the pilot mode right now. And every day, 3 times their Magma crashes. The stability is a biggest concern right now.
What version does he use?
1.8.
Yeah. So I think 1.8, I think there were two variants actually, Lucas. So one was with stateless. I think there the situation is, it is the
4G.
we are not able to, yeah, 4G. It was not, we are not even reaching 300 stably, 300 users. Without stateless, I think situation is little bit better, but then, overall it's not that stable. So I think one way was because this lot of changes have gone in 1.9 regarding the C++. So we just want to know where do we stand and, take that base, because if we want to do some
Sorry.
testing, sorry, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so especially, we just want to make sure that, all the code is committed so that we can start doing some benchmarking from our side, so that, we can raise some early flags. So that's the reason we just wanted to know if the code is still not committed, then we'll wait for a couple of more days. But because these are longevity tests, so I think we just want to make sure that the code is in.
There's two things, right, Jordan? Now, this is the customer point of view. The other thing is 4G in 1.8, nobody tested. That's what I'm telling, right? The code stability is too bad of 4G in 1.8. We tested in Wavelabs 5G, right? 5G, whatever we committed, everything is stable, right? It's working. 4G, nobody tested, and 1.8 is not at all stable. And on top of that, you're going to put C++ in 1.9. I just wanted to put it on the table for the TSC to decide.
Yeah, so I think now we have to fix whatever is there on top of it. I think there is, meaning, the way it is right now, I think the only way forward is to fix whatever is there on top of it.
Yes, so Yogesh, I think we need to go through the code and do the evaluation, how much this code is converted to C++ as part of the main, and how much is still pending in these pull requests, and make a decision. I mean, as if we change the code too much from release to release, we are going to increase the instability instead of improving. We need to stop these big changes and start fixing the problems in the stability, especially in 4G, because I mean this is something that it's almost working for 2 years, so we need to increase the stability over there instead of just changing the features.
Yeah. The one that I talked about is the other customer, right? So Yogesh is involved with one of our other customers. So they went to 1.8 and reverted back to 1.6 because 1.8 was so bad. Yogesh, without sharing the customer name, you can give some insights, right? These insights are very important for TSC team to know.
Yeah. So I think, meaning that's what we tested 2 flavors, stateless and stateful. Stateless, we are not even stably reaching 300 users. So there the situation is, the CPU is going high, the memory is high. Meaning, I have some graphs, meaning if possible, I'll share it. But, meaning of course that the bottom line is the CPU and memory usage both are going high. So we tried disabling stateless. So situation is little better. We can reach 300, but it becomes unstable when we start adding more ENVs and more UEs. So like we are just crossing 300 without stateless. So sorry, with stateful. So both CPU and memory is a challenge in 1.8. So yeah, we really want to benchmark it on 1.9. And of course, there are some critical fixes that has gone in. There was an SCTP fix we committed, and I think recently we committed some NSA code change. So I think we have to see once this is done, we'll test other features and then we can start thinking about 1.9.
I wonder what the group thinks about having stability be or the relative priority of stability, which includes the C++ migration, be in scope for the features work group, which would kind of own a roadmap.
get the question, Lucas. You mean this should be handled in the features work group? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, so I think that's the idea, but we just wanted to collect all information so that we can so that in future features group we can bring it up. But really the main idea was to start doing some more testing. But yes, we have to bring it up in features group and discuss it.
This is more for Kendall, question. These hardware in the loop before Facebook used to have these equipments, provided. Are those equipments available for us to do 4G, or if you have to buy?
They are not.
They're not there, Kader. I think last time Retronics team helped in verifying the 4G in the last moment, like just before the release. They pick up a few cases. I think it was more like not a feature-based testing. I think it was some few of the long-run test cases they have executed before the release. So it is, I think, at least in the 1.8, it was on the community.
I have some update. There was some equipment that was paid for by Meta. That part has been closed out by end of last year. And I have had almost every single user ask about, is there any funds or any place for interoperability and testing and HIL? So I am collecting information. I am going to reach out to Spirent. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. And I intend to come back to either the features group or perhaps have a different group for interoperability and testing as a proposal. So.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, right? So, well, at least in Wave Labs, we have the space and, servers, a few we can contribute and few, obviously, we need some funding, right? Like, for example, for 5G, we have some licenses that we can contribute, but for 4G, we don't, and some additional. So it's like, instead of going and building a lab from base zero, you could get 50% of what you need from our infrastructure, maybe 50% investment. With less money, we can build up a complete hardware in the loop. Is something that I wanted to put forward to you. So, right?
Yeah, no, that's good to know. But the process will be, gather the stuff, you give it to the working groups, which will make a proposal to the TSC. So,
yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying that if you wanted to reduce the cost, we have already invested close to 560,000 to be more precise. Equipments in our lab, which we use to do a lot of testing for Magma, right? There are only missing pieces that is required. I'm just saying this as an option.
Appreciate it.
Spend the money wisely, right? So.
I will absolutely make sure it gets captured in the.
We have 20 minutes left. Anything else from anyone? I'll take the silence as a no. Then we'll go ahead and end here. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye.